Nature is a British weekly scientific journal founded and based in London, England. As a multidisciplinary publication, Nature features peer-reviewed research from a variety of academic disciplines, mainly in science and technology. It has core editorial offices across the United States, continental Europe, and Asia under the international scientific publishing company Springer Nature. Nature was one of the world's most cited scientific journals by the Science edition of the 2019 Journal Citation Reports, making it one of the world's most read and most prestigious academic journals. As of 2012, it claimed an online readership of about 3 million unique readers per month. Founded in autumn 1869, Nature was first circulated by Norman Lockyer and Alexander Macmillan as a public forum for scientific innovations. The mid-20th century facilitated an editorial expansion for the journal. Nature redoubled its efforts in explanatory and scientific journalism. The late 1980s and early 1990s created a network of editorial offices outside of Britain and established 10 new supplementary, specialty publications. Since the late 2000s, the weekly created dedicated editorial and current affairs columns, as well as electoral endorsements. The primary source of the journal remains, as established at its founding, research scientists. Editing standards are primarily concerned with technical readability. Each issue also features articles that are of general interest to the scientific community, namely business, funding, scientific ethics and research breakthroughs. There are also sections on books, arts, and short science fiction stories. The main research published in Nature consists mostly of papers in lightly edited form. They are highly technical and dense, but, due to imposed text limits, they are typically summaries of larger work. Innovations or breakthroughs in any scientific or technological field are featured in the journal as either letters or news articles. The papers that have been published in this journal are internationally acclaimed for maintaining high research standards. Conversely, due to journal's exposure, it has, at various times, been a subject of controversy for its handling of academic dishonesty, the scientific method, and news coverage. Fewer than 8% of submitted papers are accepted for publication. In 2007, Nature received the Prince of Asturias Award for Communications and Humanity. The enormous progress in science and mathematics during the 19th century was recorded in journals written mostly in German or French, as well as in English. Britain underwent enormous technological and industrial changes and advances, particularly in the latter half of the 19th century. The most respected scientific journals of this time were the refereed journals of the Royal Society, which had published many of the great works from Isaac Newton and Michael Faraday to Charles Darwin. In addition, the number of popular science periodicals doubled from the 1850s to the 1860s. According to the editors of these popular science magazines, the publications were designed to serve as organs of science. In essence, a means of connecting the public to the scientific world. Nature, first created in 1869, was not the first magazine of its kind in Britain. One journal to precede Nature was Recreative Science, a record and remembrancer of intellectual observation, which, created in 1859, began as a natural history magazine and progressed to include more physical observational science and technical subjects and less natural history. The journal's name changed from its original title to Intellectual Observer, a review of natural history, microscopic research, and recreative science, and then to the Student and Intellectual Observer of Science, Literature, and Art. While recreative science had attempted to include more physical sciences such as astronomy and archaeology, the Intellectual Observer broadened itself further to include literature and art as well. Similar to recreative science was the scientific journal Popular Science Review, created in 1862, which covered different fields of science by creating subsections titled Scientific Summary or Quarterly Retrospect, with book reviews and commentary on the latest scientific works and publications. Two other journals produced in England prior to the development of Nature were the Quarterly Journal of Science and Scientific Opinion. established in 1864 and 1868, respectively. The journal most closely related to Nature in its editorship and format was The Reader. Created in 1863, the publication mixed science with literature and art in an attempt to reach an audience outside of the scientific community, similar to Popular Science Review. These similar journals all ultimately failed. The Popular Science Review survived longest, lasting 20 years and ending its publication in 1881. Recreative Science ceased publication as the Student and Intellectual Observer in 1871. The Quarter,